Hi and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Sunday, April 15th, 2018. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back for one more episode. And if you're new, hopefully you enjoyed today's show and you'll come back in the future. So, how have you all been the past 2 weeks? Probably just as busy as our lives, because everybody's busy, right? We all, the world keeps turning and life keeps going on, and it just becomes a whirlwind. But we're going to quickly catch you up with our last 2 weeks before we start showing you all the knitting, because this episode's title is, You Know You Have a Problem When, and that can be, labeled onto a multitude of things this episode. So, my past 2 weeks, last weekend was YarnCon, which was amazing. Thank you to everyone who stopped by. Our friend Amber was able to help us set up on Friday, and she was in our booth on Saturday. Unfortunately, she had to leave Saturday night for kind of an emergency last-minute business meeting she had to go to, so I won't go into detail, that's her life, but she was not able to be at the show on Sunday, which was sad. A few of you stopped by hoping to see her, and I did relay those messages to her, and she was really, really disappointed she couldn't be there, but it kind of just, you know, when you run your own business, I can relate, you got to do what you got to do for the business, and, you know, to keep food on the table for your family and your household, right? So, but Callie and my sister, Amanda, was able to drive all the way up to YarnCon and partake in that.
And we didn't tell you guys.
No, I had hoped. I kind of pushed, but I didn't think Callie would want to come after such a busy day she had on Saturday. But they showed up, and then I wasn't even in the booth when they first showed up. I was out doing something or going to the bathroom, knowing me. And so, yeah, that was good times, and they hung out, and we packed up and we headed home on Sunday night, and we worked on Monday, and then Tuesday we drove up to Cary, Illinois, and we visited the Cultured Pearls of McHenry Knitting Guild, which was a blast. They have such a fun group up there, and they allowed us to vend, and I did our little Q&A presentation about our business, which people seemed to enjoy. And then we turned around and drove the 3+ hours home and got home a little after midnight, so that was kind of a whirlwind. And then we left Thursday for Greencastle, Indiana for the Fiber event, and setup on Thursday. Setup was a breeze, and then we were able to vend on Friday and Saturday. Friday, again, our friend Amber showed up with her daughter Heidi, and Joanna of Knitspin Farm was also vending, and so Joanna was so gracious to invite Andy and I, the past 3 years now, back to her farm, which is about a little over an hour away from where the event takes place. And the first year, I think she messaged me on Instagram, and that was before I even knew about Instagram messaging, because they don't always show up right away, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I didn't see them. And then last year, our GPS took us the wrong way, and it was going to take us like double the amount of time, which at that point, Andy was like, no, it wanted to take us through Indianapolis, which we didn't need to do. So he turned around. So this year we were determined, and we caravanned to the farm, and had a great time. They were such lovely hosts. Her husband, Bill, cooked dinner for us, fresh salad and burgers and salt potatoes, which are like a regional New York thing, which you just boil small potatoes in an immense amount of salt water. They were delicious. Somebody brought fancy cheeses. There were just a multitude of things. And there were a multitude of people who showed up. Amy Beth the Fat Squirrel and her daughter and a few other friends showed up, and we got to snuggle baby goats and see the sheep and chickens and baby turkeys, and her dog Sugar Pie is about the most adorable thing there is, and I got to snuggle with her a lot, and it was just a good time. So we drove back on Friday night, and we knew it was going to be like an hour plus back to our hotel. And so Amber, we all kind of left at the same time. And Amber's like, well, I think I'm going to catch this road. And we were like, okay, once we get there, we know where we need to go to get to the hotel. And so we take the first road off of Joanna's home, and we turn left, and we're following Amber. And I love you, Amber. This is not to call you out. This is just kind of shenanigans, as Amy Beth would say. And so we turn left. And we're following Amber, and all of a sudden another car's coming, and it starts slowing down and flashing its headlights and comes to a complete stop, flashing its headlights. And Amber just keeps going, and Andy slows down, and he goes, "We're on the wrong side of the road." He looks over, he goes, "This is a divided highway, and we're driving down the wrong side of the road." And so Amber's still going. And he's like, he's laughing at the situation, but not knowing what to do. And he's like, "She's gonna die. She's gonna die. We need to get over her. What do we do?" And it's one of those, like, not hump medians, but the, grass medians where they dip down. And we have a big cargo van. And he's like, "We got to go through the median." And I was like, "Well, just take it slow." So he's trying to go at an angle.
Because it could be top heavy.
And you could just get stuck.
Yeah.
When I've gone off in snow before, I've gotten stuck in there. And it had drizzled that day or whatever. So we got on the right side of the road, but Amber kind of came to a stop and then eventually made it to a stoplight and got over. And she eventually called me on speakerphone, and she was just like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And we were laughing. We're just like, it's kind of when, like, the universe attacks. But I said, "We all survived. It's fine." But it was just kind of, she was like, "I couldn't figure out why they were flashing their headlights at me. My headlights were on. I didn't know what the problem was." It was okay, though. But it's something to laugh at. Yes.
Now.
When you drive on the wrong side of the road. Right? When a path is not afforded to you, forge your own, right? So anyway, we got back, and we vended yesterday on Saturday. There was a little bit of rain in the morning, but it picked up once the rain cleared. And then we packed up and drove home. We take back roads now. We used to take highways out, but we take back roads, and it's such a beautiful drive. And a short one. It's only about 2.5 hours for us. So we were home when it was still daylight yesterday, and slept in this morning, and here we are. So that's pretty much. But my last 2 weeks, nothing else really exciting. So, you?
So last weekend, we held at work a meal packaging event. So, we did a little over 21,000 individual servings of
Wow.
food. So, like, what it is it's a family rice casserole. So what's in it is rice, dehydrated vegetables, spices, a protein powder, and a soy product to kind of, I don't know exactly what the soy product is there for, but I know that once all cooked, you really just have a rice casserole with dehydrated vegetables and seasoning. So, and there's a lot of things that families that receive these meals can put in. They can add tuna, they can do chicken, they can do beans. I mean, there's a lot of, like, it's a starter to extend for sure. So each one of the packets serves 6, but can easily be spread out more by adding add-ins. So it's a good deal. For the 3 counties that we serve, we have a large food bank that serves all 3 counties that are in our 4-H circle, as well as additional counties. So they will get spread out among those. And then if the food bank decides to send them elsewhere, then we can't really control that, but we get first dibs on them here in this area, and that's how it's always been with how they serve. So that was a good time. We did that from 9 till about 2 last Saturday. And then after that, a friend and I went out to eat lunch. And then I think this is worth noting just because I think this is like, this is how my life has become. Like, if I can put it in a day, then I'm going to do it. And so I was so exhausted, and so was my friend. And because she is also works with me. And so she wanted to get her eyebrows done at Ulta, and I was like, yeah, sure, I need to find a new perfume scent anyways. Mind you, like, this meal packaging thing, like, you get large pallets and large bags of, like, rice and all of the meal ingredients. So I literally wore this jacket, it has since been washed, and t-shirt and jeans last week, but, like, still covered in all of this product and, like, probably looking and smelling a great mess. And so anyways, we're in Ulta and she's doing her thing and I'm, like, smelling all these perfumes, And when I was in Florida, there was one that I particularly liked that was by Chanel. And I was like, oh, I want to double check that this is, you know, okay. So, like, I spray it on the stick and write the name on it to make sure that, you know, when I come back to it, like, oh, okay, got it. All right. So I'm, like, smelling all of these ones. And I find another one that I like even better. So my friend finally comes out. And so we're, you know, discussing the merits of each one that I have chosen. And finally, I was like, okay, I'm going to actually spray this one on me. Okay. And so I, like, walk around with it on, and then she was like, you know, I kind of wouldn't mind a new perfume either. So she does the same thing that I did, and she finally finds one, and I was like, oh, I do like the smell of it. Like, I was like, it's kind of got, like, that soft bourbon tone, but, like, a little fruity. Like, it kind of smells like a less bourbon-y old-fashioned, if that makes sense. So I was like, oh, that's my jam, mostly because I drink bourbon and so does my friend, and, like, that's our jam. So she puts it on, and, like, we're walking around, like, seeing, you know, as you do, to see if it still smells okay by the time you're still in the store, right? Because, like, you kind of get this, like, sensation of, like, maybe it's not going to. And so, anyways, like, the further we get, I was like, ouch, I don't think this is a good perfume for you. Like, this smells awful. Meanwhile, mine is still smelling, like, golden. I'm like, yeah, this is the one. Then we, like, get further into the store, and I was like, ouch, I can't take that. And she's like, I can't either, but I didn't want to, like, tell myself that. And so anyway, she goes into the bathroom, tries to scrub it off. It smells even worse at this point. And I was like, you can't do that. I was like, this is not for you. Anyways, I do think the one that I tried will actually be the one that I go with, but it's $80 a bottle, so it's not going to be purchased anytime soon. And they didn't have a sample size for me to try either, like the roller ball or, like, purse perfume that they carry. So that's going to be a saved up purchase. But then this past week has been a bit of a roller coaster, as I was telling Steve before we recorded. So last Wednesday, a friend of mine, her husband passed away from cancer. She was a grade ahead of me. Her husband was 34 when he passed. He was a local firefighter in Peoria, which is a few towns over from where I'm at, and it's even further for you. But it's, like, near pipelines. So if you have gone to the Washington, Illinois pipeline retreat, like, Peoria is close to there, for frame of reference. And so he passed away, and it was really unfortunate. And so I'm not going to get into too much details. But I went to the visitation, and that was on Wednesday of this week. And it was just so overwhelmingly emotional because, like, I was sandwiched in between his younger brothers. One was older than me and one was younger than me. And, I mean, like, we're a small town, we're a small school, like, we know everybody, like, and it was just really hard. And then, so, Thursday, I go out to get lunch, and I knew that the funeral was Thursday morning, and I couldn't get off work to go to it. But I knew that they were coming from Peoria to our small town to bury him in our town cemetery. And in such, the funeral procession had to come down the highway. And it was just so, like, I went and got lunch. I didn't expect to see what I saw. So, like, I see in the rear view mirror all of these lights, and I knew that that's what it was. And so, from Peoria to my small town in Hayworth, every overpass and bridge was covered with first responders, you know, doing the salute to Nick, because he was a firefighter in EMS. And so, like, that was just overwhelmingly emotional as I'm heading back to work. But then to actually see the procession come through, that was even harder, because, like, it's just overwhelming to see all of these people that actually care about him. And there was over 100 cars in the line. I mean, there was, like, over 6 fire trucks, and then over 6 EMS or ambulances, and then They had motorcycles and then the limo and then everybody else. I mean, like, you know, you got to think from Peoria to my small town is about an hour and 15 minutes via highway. So you're thinking like, okay, you're coming down this and you're doing over 70 and you're trying to keep up with all of this funeral procession and you have to be in the middle lane because that's what's designated, you know, as like the lane. I mean, it was overwhelmingly emotional just to see all of that, but to see all of the outpouring of love that he received was well earned and deserved. Anyways, so that has been heavy on my mind, and I will talk about it a little bit later, because I actually have a giveaway. So, yeah. So, but good things have, you know, the family has been blessed with an abundance of love and abundance of care these past 10 months when he was first diagnosed with cancer. So, yeah, and hopefully that love and abundance will continue throughout these next few years and for the duration of this family's life. I mean, to know that they're never alone, hopefully, will continue. So, yeah.
So definitely a roller coaster.
Yeah. So that's why I might have been a little off. If you saw me at YarnCon, it's just a lot to process because, you know, I mean, Sarah, his wife, is only 30, and she is now a widow with 3 kids, and one is less than a year old. And, you know, that's hard for anybody at any age.
Yeah. But
to lose your soulmate at such a young age was hard to watch because you can't do anything. I mean, there's so many of us that were like, if we could give you like the body parts that, you know, to make this go away, we would have given blood. If that was the answer, we would have, you know, if it was bone marrow, we would have all gotten tested, but it wasn't. It was beyond anybody's control. So,
yeah. Well, let's get to the knitting. So, what's taking about? What did we finish? I got nothing. I'm sorry, but I got a lot on the needles.
I got 2 dishcloths that I finished, but I didn't bring those because I was lazy when I packed. I was like, they're not that much. So.
Well, so we're going to move right on into what's performing this week. And here's the first time you're going to realize you know you got a problem when you cast on all the projects. Yeah, I had a definite case of startitis this week.
I would have had I had time to wind anything. Because that was my main problem.
Yeah, I may have a minion for that.
Yeah, some of us don't have our own business with our own winders and skein.
Yeah, well, and I have my sister do it. I was like, can you wind all these for me? Thanks.
Oh my gosh, I should just throw this down the stairs and make her do it while we're recording.
You gonna pay me? To pay her?
Excuse you?
Yeah.
Excuse you?
Anyway, so I'm trying to finish this row here. So the first thing that I have on the needles is my Head in the Clouds hat, which is featuring Leading Men Fiber Arts Box Office or Worsted Weight in the Head in the Clouds colorway, which was our April colorway this month. And pre-orders for that are down, but there are some bases currently in the shop, and if we don't have it available, you can always place a custom order. And so I should be hitting the crown decreases sometime soon. I
really like that colorway. It's subtle.
Yeah.
But it's really pretty.
So again, there's kind of your best bet. Our light that lights our faces very well. Sometimes washes out brighter colors. So there's that, and I'm knitting that on a size 6 and 8 US. And yeah, things just don't get as much love when you have so many things on the needles. So who would have thunk that?
I remember when you used to be monogamous.
Ish. Yeah. I come and go. I come and go from narrowing it down, because then eventually I'm going to get tired of not making a lot of progress, and so then I'll like narrow it down. But I wanted to cast on all the things for shop samples. So I got that bug up my rear. So the next thing is my Gentian Socks, and this is out of Regia 4-ply in color number 4458, Gentian. And it's on a size 1 US 2.25 millimeter needle. So I showed you the first sock last episode, and I'm not sure if I got much done, but I think I finished decreasing for the gusset on the second sock. Oops, my bag wants to fall off my lap. So there's those. Fun, crazy yarn, but still kind of, I don't know, sophisticated, not too loud or bright. So these will be going to Andy's brother for Christmas. Which, oh, I forgot to tell you, before we went to YarnCon, we went to Indiana the day before and got to celebrate our nephew's 8th birthday, even though it was about a week early. We took the whole family out to Buffalo Wild Wings, which is where he wanted to go, and then we took him to get some cupcakes and things of that nature, and he got some donuts too, and just got to chill with the family for a little bit that night. So, all right, the next thing I'm working on is April Showers by Dallas Ann Prentice, and this, I said, was a new Nitty release featuring our Show Stealer base, and so I'm doing one as a shop sample, not in the original colors that were done in. The original was done in Seaweed and Nude Scene. This is done in Turkey Run and Orchard Slope, so it's more of an autumnal sweater. And the contrast, or the construction, is really cool. So it's a fingering weight sweater. I'm doing the size medium as a shop sample. So I was almost done with the top portion, and I had split off for the sleeves. And so here is the back. And then you do this contrasting reverse stockinette band, and then you cast on and you start doing these wedges with kind of some short row detailing with the contrasting, again in reverse stockinette. And so this pleating is done all the way across, and it does have a rolled stockinette edge right now, but it will get a contrast border done around it. So that's going there, and yeah, it is a shorter sweater. But she gives you details on, you know, according to your length of your torso, where to put this band and things like that. So I'm just following the directions since it's just a shop model, but I was a little worried that it was going to look a little too camo, but I actually think it looks okay. It's very autumnal, but I think the green contrasts really well with it. So I'm happy with that. And that's on a size 6 and 4 US. So 6 is for all the body, the 4 is for the little cuff detail and the border. So there's that, and that pattern is free, of course. It's through Nitty, but you can find it on Ravelry, April Showers. And then next up are my new cast-ons. So I showed you all the worsted weight, the box office that I shopped for my trunk show last episode. 7 skeins for the ribbon wrap, which is by Illy Tilly. And this uses 4 colors. You need 3 of the main color, mine is Darkest Hour, 1 of color A, which is Nude Scene for me, 2 of color B, which is Poseidon, and 1 of color 3, which is Into the Woods. And this is a knit on a size 9, 5.5 millimeter needle. And I worked on this all the way back from...
YarnCon?
No, the Knitting Guild meeting. And I got a decent amount. I'm not to the 3rd color yet. And I can't really, hold on. I got an extra long needle in here holding stitches, so I put it through the fabric to kind of make sure things didn't fall off. But so it goes here, and then it'll do some more rows, and then it'll start shortening out, and then you pick up this side and do some more, and then you have to do a second piece and graft them together. So, but I like the drape on the size 9s with worsted weight, and it's going to be a big old wrap, and it's really easy to do. It's an easy pattern to follow so far, and so I'm enjoying that a lot. So
it's pretty. I like that.
Thank you. I'm really excited to see it as a shop sample. It's just figuring out how best to showcase it so you can really see it without actually wrapping it around a mannequin. So it might just be a table dressing, you know, to lay out on a table, but all right, and then, but wait, there's more. I cast on the Suburban Wrap by Joji Locatelli, And I'm using our newest base, Monologue, which is a 65% superwash merino, 20% silk, 15% yak, single ply fingering weight. And I'm using 3 colors. Color 1 is Fortune Teller, then Needle Stuck, Glow Stick, and Sea Turtle. And so I haven't introduced the Sea Turtle yet, but I worked on this all weekend at Greencastle. And here's where I'm at.
It's pretty. I love these colors together.
Yeah, I got a lot of compliments this weekend. So you start off with some lace, which you're like, wham, bam, into lace, which is fine. It's not hard lace, but it's just, I'm not used to thinking that much. But I got through that, and then you do some striping. And then I'm almost done with the eyelet section here, and then I introduce the 3rd color. So the stitch count never changes. It's all done with decreasing and increasing in the center and sides, and you get this arrow-shaped wrap. So it's got the point, or the V here, and then the point at the other end. So I'm excited to work on this. The yarn is a dream to work with. The drape on this is going to be absolutely stunning once it blocks out. And I'm so excited to finally get to work with our newest base. I mean, I started selling it before I even knit with it. I just knew I loved the fiber content and the feel of it. So, and it just takes our colors so much differently than any of our other yarns because of its natural gray brown base. So that's knit on a size 6 US 4mm, and I'm using my signatures on that one. And the last cast on was my architecture scarf. And where did it, oh, there it is. This is in one of my new acquisitions. I'll wait to show you this. And I'm using, this is by Jennifer Weissman, and I'm using Black Cat Fibers Nomad Sock in one of their 10 mini skein gradients in the Demeter gradient, and you can't see them all. I wound it into a magic cake so I wouldn't have to weave in all those ends. So it took a while to magic knot these all on and wind them on, and it didn't do the best job. I had to kind of tuck some yarn barf in, but it'll be fine since I'm going from the outside. And I don't have much to show you. I got the garter stitch done, and then I'm doing some seed stitch. But again, it's going to kind of have that same
what was the pattern?
Construction. Architecture.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of that pointed scarf type of thing, but I think it's going in the opposite direction. So I think this kind of goes like from the point out, if that makes sense. I'm not sure. Or it might be pointed at both ends, I think, rather than the V. I think it's pointed at both ends.
I think it is. It's one of the recommendations on my Craftsy all the time. Because I might have looked at purchasing the pattern as well as the yarn from Craftsy, so I think it's just mindful of what I wanted. So.
You have to read the pattern, but it's not hard. It's just a lot of do this. And there's like 6 stitch patterns, so it's good for like learning different stitch patterns, basic ones. But it's just kind of making sure you're following the number of repeats. And you know, I just got started with this. So, and then last but not least,
there's more?
I brought up my granny square blankets to show you. I remembered, since I'm getting all these minis, and there's more, I feel like I needed to start working with them. So I'll show you the original granny square blanket, the one that I am adding on to as I go, though I'm not sure. Well, there's the hook. This is when I'm using my larger scraps. I do a little mini one and then I add on to this, and it's a decent size, but again, it's a square, and you know, you want it to be long enough to hold you up. So I think I've done like this purple, this other lighter purple, there's some gray, and again, the colors change more because it's so much bigger, and then this like dark green, and then this is from the socks I just finished. But yeah, so it starts here right now. And it goes all the way over to here. And then, oh, it gets bigger. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, it's so big. Oh, it's so big. And there's more. So, it might be getting there because I really want to be done with this one and I just want to focus on the other one. But ultimately, since Andy is the one who lays on the couch, he's going to be the one to decide how big it's going to be to cover him.
So this is really Andy's blanket.
Oh, yeah. But then, I've been working on my mini squares, and I started connecting them using the continuous join as you go method. And so I'm making squares, little ones like this. This was my last one I had done. I haven't connected it on yet. Using some of my minis. This one was from Marinated Yarns that I picked up at Stitches United. And so I am, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so I've done a whole row, the first row, and then I've continuous chained across the top, and now I will add as I go. So it's going to be 15 wide, which is a decent amount. Mm-hmm. And you can see here I'm just using our natural soliloquy undyed, or 100% superwash BFL. And so, there's the squares. I'm so enjoying this one. And so it's a decent, it would probably cover both of us.
Aww.
So, it's a 2-person blanket. I did the math. They're 15 wide. I'd probably want to go at least 20 rows high. So that's 300 squares I've got to make before I can start the next one. These are fun. They're a little like, ooh, finished, added on. Ooh, finished, added on. So, I don't really have any color scheme or mix of semi-solids and variegateds. I mean, I try to split up the semi-solids and variegateds a little bit, but I'm getting mostly variegateds from other dyers, so it's just going and doing its thing. So, I'm enjoying that, and I got, like, all these minis just from the previous episode, and wait till you see what I got at YarnCon, so. Minis are all the rage right now.
Totes.
So that's what I'm working on, y'all. Boom. Mic drop.
Sorry to disappoint, but because I have finished the Switch shawl, I have been kind of taking it super easy, and also because my weeks have been super packed. But I'm just working on dishcloth.
That matches her fleece.
Yeah.
Do you like we're both wearing fleeces and
Yeah.
they're in cool tones today?
So, and we didn't plan this.
No.
No.
I just threw something on after I got out of the shower. That was simple. Buttons, too much work. Just throw on the fleece.
Yeah. This is in sugar and cream, and the colorway is called Black Currant. So, I really, I'm just working through my sugar and cream stash because a few weeks ago I may have added equally what I had in sugar and cream back in. So doubled it, and then I've still got my I Love This Cotton from Hobby Lobby. So okay, real talk here.
Real talk.
Real talk. Okay. So when Amber announced this dishcloth challenge, originally I was like, I don't need to do that because I don't have a whole lot of dishcloth cotton, right? But then, because I'm a follower, not always a leader, I was like, I should really do that because that is an ingenious way to get Christmas gifts done throughout the year, and I don't have to, think about it in December. And so then I was like, well, crap, now I gotta go buy more dishcloth cotton because I'm gonna be going through it more.
And so the cycle continues as the world turns.
So, yeah, I was counting my stash yesterday and I was like, this is a problem. Now I've got to work through this. It is what it is. There's worse habits. I mean, this could be cocaine or meth or something like that, right? This is not like that.
Your teeth could be falling out.
It's true. I mean...
At least you have your teeth.
Yeah, thanks.
So when somebody says, do you think you have enough yarn? You could go, at least I have my teeth.
That's true.
And they'll be like, what? And you'll be like, think about it. And just walk away. Mic drop. I need to give you some cotton yarn when you leave.
Oh. Okay. I'm not going to be mad about it.
All right. So what's in rehearsal for us? Just more hats eventually. I got a lot on the needles. I don't really need to cast much more on, I don't think. I got some big, large projects. I like big projects, and this I can't deny. you other knitters can
verify. I was trying. I'm not with.
Thanks, because I was drawing the blank there.
I actually have a project. Whoop, a frame. Okay, so, yes. So when we were at YarnCon.
Did you see the blank?
Sometimes at work, I walk in people's office and I have the same thing. And then I just turn around and walk back. Because I'm like... I know it happens to y'all too. Like, don't try to cop it. So when we were at YarnCon, I knew going in that this was going to be dangerous for me because I now have quite a large stash since we started podcasting. Before we started podcasting, I would say it was small and sad. But now it's plentiful. And I'm very lucky and blessed to have purchased things, acquired things here and there, and have been, you know, generously gifted things as well. So I'm trying to keep that in perspective. And again, I will talk more about this in the giveaway. So you know I loved my Switch. Like, there was a few things that I was like, math-wise, I wish it would have been a little bit clearer, but like, that's just for my little OCD heart, not necessarily a problem. And so, I've been like coveting quite a bit of her designs. And again, it's Spruce Lane Designs. And so I saw this pattern and I had cued it when I originally was looking for a pattern to go to. And it's called Joplin. And I printed it in black and white because it's a little easier for me to imagine it this way. But I did get a mini skein bundle, and I'll show it later on, but this is what it's going to be used for. And I have a skein of Nude Scene by Leading Men Fiber Arts that I'm going to pair it with. But this is what it looks like. So,
it's pretty. Yeah,
it does originally call for a 6 set, or a mini skein set of 6. And the designer used Miss Babs. And I think there's nothing wrong with that, but I really enjoyed this mini skein bundle that I found at, at YarnCon. So I'm excited to do this. The tones that are used in Joplin are very primary, and I liked that, and it was appealing. But the colors that I picked at YarnCon are actually more my speed in terms of this is where I'm at in life, and I need something. I don't have anything in my wardrobe that matches it, so
cool.
It is what it is.
So let's talk about behind the scenes, my spinning. I finished last night the first 2 ounces of the first draft Rambouillet in the road trip colorway, and you can just see the orange here. I spun the first 2 ounces straight from the braid, so it's long color repeats. And then I started the second 2 ounces this morning, and I have little narrow strips of fiber. I split it into like 4 or 5 strips this time rather than 3. It's just the way the fiber wanted to be split. And so I'll split these, so these will have shorter color repeats, which will give it's fractal spinning. It'll give it more barber pulling effect in the finished yarn. So there's that, and yeah, so slow but sure wins the race, right? So let's move into, in the scene shop, my other crafting. I was hoping to show you a different portion of my cross stitch, but I'm working on it. Again, traveling a lot, this doesn't go on the road with me. I'm working on a dimensions kit called In the Moment. It says Live Life in the Moment, and it's on a 28 count even weave. And I'm working on the back stitch of the word moment. So you can see here the little bit, I'm kind of at the M, and I've got to do the last top portion here of back stitch. I hate back stitch, I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite. It's not so much, I'm learning more how to follow the chart and like actually back stitch, not just in the corners, but like midway through to kind of give it a better appeal. But it's getting through all of the threads after you've stitched that fabric is not always the easiest. So especially coming in through the back. So I'm almost done with the back stitching, and then I can move on to the top portion, and I'll be halfway done-ish. So That's my cross stitch. So let's move into In the Spotlight. What are we watching and reading? Again, I haven't been listening to a whole lot of audiobooks. We've been listening to music while we work, my sister and I up here, or just enjoying the silence. I spend a lot of time in my head thinking and just, overanalyzing, and I'm happy there. So I'm sure my audiobook mojo will come back at some point, but yeah. So shows that we're still watching Grace and Frankie, and we finished watching The Alienist. That was about 10 episodes. Enjoyed it. I felt like it was leading up and it never really fully got there, you know what I mean? The climax was not as much as you would hope it to be. But it still was a good small series. I don't think it's based off of a book. I don't foresee them bringing it back. But I did enjoy, the production value of it, especially for TNT and things of that nature. So I think you can still catch it on demand if you have TNT. And that's all that I've been watching and reading.
Things I've been watching are a lot of stuff in the DVR. So just like NCIS and just things like that. I finished a book, so I'm now doing 2 for 30 of my Goodreads goals, so killing it.
I'm not too far ahead of you. So,
and so I finished Wisdom from Big Bird and Truce from Oscar the Grouch. I think that's close enough to the title, but it's by Carol Spine. I can never pronounce it. It's the guy that played Big Bird. Okay, all right. Be on the same page. This book came out in like 2003, so but I really enjoyed this book. It was a neat insight to the man that has played Big Bird since the beginning of Sesame Street, and I believe he's still playing Big Bird. But it was a cute book. It was less than 160 pages. It was a quick read, which was a nice win. But it was really nice. It was a really nice book. And then last night, a friend of mine from work, she and I went to ISU speaker series. So every year ISU brings in, for the past 6 years, has done, they have paid for a speaker to come in and do a talk for one of the colleges that are within ISU. This year it was from the College of International Affairs and Political Science and econ all together. I don't know. They have some made up title for this department, but that's what it is. Those 3 departments make up. It's not a made up title. It's just, it's funky to me. So it is what it is. But the speaker was Muhammad Yunus. It's Y-U-N-U-S. Is his last name, but he was a 2006 Nobel Peace Prize laureate, and he spoke on microfinancing, and the topic of his thing was 3 zeros: 0 poverty, 0 net carbon emission, and I can't remember what the third one was because he didn't actually talk about it, but it was a good presentation. It started at 7 and didn't get over until 8:30. He did a Q&A, which was fascinating. And then he also did a book signing. We didn't participate in the book signing because it was a zoo as far as how many people wanted to meet him. And plus, there was all the formal pictures that had to be done for the press and all of that. So, but it was a very neat lecture. So I was really excited to have been able to see that. And it was free, so that was even better. Free parking as well, so.
Gotta enjoy.
Yeah.
Alright, now to the second part of you have a problem when you can't say no to yarn.
And accessories.
True. So, at YarnCon, I was still holding to my, all the mini skeins, it doesn't count as stash. So, did I scare you a little bit? So I went on a mini skein binge, and across from me was Black Cat, but then next to them was Bumblebee Acres, who was at Indiana this past weekend as well. And so they had little mini skein packs, so I picked up 2 of those. These are 10-gram mini skeins, 40 yards each, and they're both Corriedale nylon, I believe. And this pack is called the Big Trouble in Little China pack.
I'm so jealous. It's a movie.
Okay, I don't know. I was like, oh, mini skeins, and they're relatively cheap.
Well, it's Big Trouble in Little Chinatown, but that's what the movie is called.
Wow.
Anyways.
So, there's some fun variegated ones that will go into my scrap blanket. And then this one is called Magical Mayhem. And, yeah. And so they have the little different colorways, but, yeah, you don't really know which ones are which, though. So, but they're a whole family who run their farm and hand-dye yarn and do these cool things. So, picked those both up from them. And then, of course, my girls, Antoinette and Anna, whom we love. I picked up some more mini skeins from them because they had replenished their stock of mini skeins since when I saw them in Connecticut. And so... any more? Any more? Any more? One more. Nope, that one's not theirs. So... here's 3. Oh, nope. Ooh. Oh, it's hard to bend over when you're fat. Preach. Alright, so there's 3. And then... yeah, I even got a bright pink one, y'all. I was like, what? Go for it. So, got those from Black Cat Fibers. And then Northern Bee Studio, who I bought a kit from last Yarn Con and still haven't at all. I got 4 of their mini skeins on a variety of different bases. So there's those. So many minis. And you get a mini, and you get a mini, and you get a mini. So many minis. Okay, and then Hopkins Sewing Studio, which our friend Brian works for, I believe, purveyor of pretty things. They have a little corner booth. And this is in the Graffiti in Europe set. And again, these are 10-gram minis, 40 grams a piece. And they're almost like a fade, but they won't be faded together. They'll just be used and put in the blanket where they belong. So I picked up those. And then across from us, next to Black Cat, was Darn Yarn MN, Minnesota. And we had the pleasure of having dinner with her, Chelsea, I believe? Yes, Chelsea. And her worker, I can't remember her friend's name. And she does hand-dyed yarn as well as project bags and a few other things. And she had these really cool project bags that I kind of fell in love with. And so the first one is a plain kind of, I don't know what you call this, canvas, linen, maybe? Canvas with a felt bottom, and she had a couple different colors. I chose green because I didn't want to go with boring gray. That's what I wanted to do. She's got her logo on there, but I loved the shape and size, and I loved the leather handle, and just, it was masculine. It was unisex. So, and what actually you're supposed to use these for is buy a bag to take to an event and have all your friends sign them and leave you messages on them, and then you have a kind of a remembrance of that event. I like the plain quality of it. So that's not what I'm going to do with it. But she had one for YarnCon that she donated as a prize, which was really cool. So this one, they have linings as well. This one's kind of a soft yellow polka dot. There's a pocket on the inside out of a different felt. And yeah, so it's nice and deep. You could potentially probably do one of those, you know, turn it down and kind of set it on the floor type of deals if you wanted to. So this was the simple one. And then I saw this other one. I was like, I gotta have 2. And so that one I'm already using with my architecture scarf. And this one is gold hedgehogs. I know yellow's totally not my color, but look how tall this is. I mean, it's just, you could fit like a sweater in here. And so this one, again, I love the leather handle on here. This one has a fun blue with the yellow pocket. So definitely check her out. I think she will be at Yarn Over in Minnesota the end of this month. Maybe Shepherd's Harvest. I'm not sure. So, but check her out. I'll link her in the show notes. And then, was there anything else? Oh yeah, so that was YarnCon. And then this past weekend I was pretty good, but I did, you know, stop by the Knitspin Farm booth, and I picked up a skein of her self-striping, because she's now dyeing self-striping yarn, and she premiered it at Knitting Pipeline in February. Sorry, that's my text message.
Oh, I was like, you guys aren't even close to the railroad tracks.
No, that's my text message. How much you want to bet it's Amber? You'll never know, though. Anyway, so I've wanted to try her self-striping, and she carries Corriedale and Targhee bases, which are not as common as, say, merino and nylon, or even BFL. And so this is the self-striping Targhee fingering, which is 90% superwash Targhee, 10% nylon. It's 4 ounces, 115 grams, 466 yards. And this is in the colorway Commentator. And it is even stripes of Adirondack Blue, Kennebec, Dark Red Norland, Anushka, and Peter Wilcox. So there was a story behind this. And first of all, this was her husband Bill's colorway that he came up with. And she came up with another colorway. And they were having a competition to see who could sell the most of their colorway. He won by a landslide, I think. And so there's a story, a joke behind this colorway. So it goes, there once was a king potato and a queen potato, and they had a young son, Prince Potato. And Prince Potato soon grew up, and he went out into the world and started dating. And as he was dating, you know, things started to progress, and he decided he was going to propose to his girlfriend, Katie Couric. And so Katie Couric was his girlfriend, and he goes home and he goes, Mom, Dad, King, Queen, I want to propose to my girlfriend. And they said, well, son, you really need to think about this, because you are a royal potato, and Katie Couric is just a commentator.
Cute.
I thought it was cute. But anyway, so it's not like a rosy pink, it's actually a rust color with yellows and greens and a blue stripe. And I really liked, she had samples, swatches of all of her colors, so loved it. So I picked that up this weekend. That's all I got. That's it. Oh, that's good.
Relatively speaking.
Relatively.
Okay. Where to begin?
I'm going to put all my minis in my basket while she's talking.
I'm going to talk about the bag here in a little bit, but saving that for last. So the first acquisition that I got at YarnCon was actually from Jelby. I got a stitch stopper, and I got a set of stitch markers. The stitch markers were in the Monster Mash colorway, and then the stitch stopper was actually from, it was a felted pumpkin. With a glass leaf on it, and it was super cute. Shelby is, generally speaking, my first stop at YarnCon. Once I see Steve and Andy, I drop my stuff, then like deuces, I'm gonna go see Shelby now. And so they are always my first stop. And so it was nice to see them. Becca Wolperogi was there, and Carrie Shelby was there, so it was awesome to see both of them. And then I kind of perused a little bit, and I have been coveting this colorway since you have talked about them initially, and so I was super excited that they were at YarnCon, and if they've been there before, it wasn't on my radar, so that was on me.
This is their first year, I think. So I think you're talking about.
Show Me Yarn is out of Missouri, and Gerald, Missouri specifically. And they have a colorway called Osage Beach. And actually that's where our family's cabin is pretty close to, is Osage Beach, in near Lake of the Ozarks. So I got it in her tonal base, and this is in the Boot Hill base, and it's a 80-20. So I really like, this is pretty spot on for the colorway of the lake, when, especially during the summer. And then because I loved it so much, I also got it in her self-striping, and it's still Osage Beach. And so I thought I've seen a couple of patterns, and since these are both fingering weight, that have used a self-striping with a solid, and I may do that. I haven't decided, because I initially thought that I would do socks for my mom for Christmas and surprise her, and then I would put Osage Beach in a shawl that I'm thinking about doing, but I really like these together, so I may do it together. I don't know. So there's that. The next acquisition that I got, and there was actually a card in my thing, because it was from Francophile Knits, or
I think it's Francophile.
Yes, but it's now changing names to Cardinal Fiber Company. Cardinal Fiber Company on Instagram, and it's cardinalfiberco.com. So, but I got a fingering base. It's 85% superwash merino and 15% nylon, and the Dijon base. And then I got same base in the Mur colorway, which is blackberry in French. So I asked her about that because I wasn't totally for sure. But I want to do a shawl with these two, and I've shown it to you. And I think it should work, hopefully. And then my last yarn purchase at YarnCon was from Northern Bee Studio, and this is in the Taste of Alaska like set that she created, and it's colors inspired by the beauty and history of Alaska. So Dirty Glacier, Juvenile Bald Eagle, the Madam's Velvet Couch, Mineshaft, and Sitka Spruce, I think is how you say that. But I really love this bundle, and this is what I'm looking to do the Joplin shawl in with the nude scene. So I think it'll look really pretty together. Last thing, purchase-wise, that I have is my custom yellow bag from Mini Moon Sewing, and it's Mini M-I-N-N-I-E Moon. Sorry, like mini, like Minnie Mouse.
Yeah, and then you gotta put if you're searching for add sewing, because somebody I saw was looking for her. I think they were asking on YouTube last week.
So it's minimoonsewing.etsy.com. So it is.
You probably won't be able to read it.
Sorry. I tried.
If Callie wants, she can put in her acquisitions and show notes.
Yep. It's been busy. But there is inside pockets. There's a large one on the inside. And then there's these ones here that are separated. So it's 3. So now, let me put these back. And Erin is the owner behind Mini Moon Sewing, and she sent me my order, and then she also included a giveaway. Now, I have thought long and hard about how I wanted to give this away. Because I really think that they're great bags. I've used my other one quite a bit, and I'm going to use this one quite a bit. And because Nick's funeral was this week, and I was part of the procession without being a part of the procession, and because of the life that he and his wife have tried to live these past 10 months while he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, they have been living intentionally. So it's... if you would like to know more about them, Sarah wrote a blog throughout this journey called Intentional Pixels, and it's on WordPress. Just know that you're probably going to go through boxes of Kleenexes. Even if you don't know them, she is a wonderful writer and has always been since I've known her through school. But the point of this is that Nick and Sarah tried with their boys, and when Brindley came along, their daughter, to create intentional moments, intentional family time, not just like we have to do this because of this, like moving about, but doing intentional things, really sitting down and doing things. So in honor of that, because I think having now, you know, indirectly, you know, in following this story and following their lives, you know, what are you doing intentionally? So that's going to be the prompt, and I'll open that up. But the prize is a bag that Aaron sent along as the giveaway. Now this isn't the stiff canvas. It's still a canvas, but I would say it's more of a decorator weight. And it's got a linen inside, and it's still got the leather handle, and it's got a cactus patch on it. It still is drawstring, and so still works the same. But it's a really nice bag, and I really like this. But that's the prompt. How are you living life intentionally? Or if you're not, you know, because, I mean, you wouldn't know about this necessarily, but if you're not living life intentionally, how do you plan on living life intentionally? Whether that's today, whether it's this week, whether it's this month, whether it's, you know, however you want to word it. But we will be picking a prize or a winner next time we record together. So, and I will be mailing that out. So.
Awesome. And thank you to Minnie Moon Sewing for donating that, and for Callie for putting that together. We really appreciate that. So we'll hope you go on over and enter for that. So this week's giveaway through the podcast, besides Callie's bag giveaway, is going to be a book giveaway, and that's for 101 Designer One Skein Wonders. And again, 101 designs of varying degrees, all using one skein or less. Some fun things in here. And it's got all the photo index in the front of all the different projects you can make. So to be eligible to win this, you must be a member of the Dramatic Knits group, which we're proudly over 2,000 members. Thank you to all our members. And you need to answer the prompt this week. It is, would you rather live in an urban area or a rural area? And feel free to just answer or to explain. I love reading it and kind of following along with people's answers. So that will be the prompt for this week. We will again keep that open and use a random number generator to pull for a winner when we record next, which will probably not be in next Sunday. I put Sunday on the thread already, but it probably may be a Monday or Tuesday night, or Monday night or something. We'll figure it out. But I'm going to be driving back from Minnesota on Sunday, so. Alright, so that's this week's giveaway. Last episode, we were giving away 4 skeins of sugar and cream, funny enough. This is not the ones I'm giving to Callie, but this is going to one viewer. So there's 2 of this hot green, 1 of sage green, and 1 of mod green. So you could do something fun. You could do some dish towels and some fun greens as spring and summer are hitting.
There's a mitered dish towel by the Mason-Dixon folks.
There you go. So, last episode's prompt was, what is your favorite store in the mall? And the winner of those 4 skeins is number 21, The Knitted Lamb, and that's Michelle from Missouri, so congratulations. And she said, I don't like mall shopping, but when I'm there, it would have to be Auntie Anne's pretzels. Yum. I haven't had one in years, but let me tell you, their cinnamon raisin glazed pretzel was the bomb.com.
What? That's a thing?
Yeah.
Where have I been living my life?
Cinnamon raisin with the icing. And they like butter it, because you gotta butter your pretzel. Alright, so Michelle, please get in contact with me, Dramatic Knits, with your first and last name and mailing address, and I'll get that out to you as soon as I can. Do not forget to post pictures of anything you finished this month in the month of April into our April 2018 Race to the Finished Object contest. We have 2 wonderful prizes. The first will be pulled from our wonderful prize selection in the closet behind me. And the second is a pattern from our featured designer, who is Shelby Hamden. This is her 4th and final month with us, so thank you so much, Shelby, for donating patterns each month. We are looking for a new featured designer, so if you know of a designer or are a designer and would like to be our featured designer, we take signups from 1 to 6 months, and all it requires is for you to donate 1 pattern a month, and we give you a shout out every episode. So I think that's it for our regularly scheduled show. I'm going to quickly go into Center Stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. Again, if you can't tell, best place to see yarn anymore is on Instagram or Facebook or our Ravelry group. Just with the way things are moving in our operations now, I can't just set aside an update tub. It just doesn't work that way. But please check those social media links out. Check out the shop. There's always things moving in and moving out, so stock is never the same there. And you can shop by colorway and base. So I have had some questions recently about, I'm having trouble ordering a specific base. If you do not see a base listed on a colorway, that means it's not currently dyed up and ready for immediate shipment. Doesn't mean you can't order it. It just means you need to place a custom order, which there's a tab at the top of our website for custom orders, and it just asks you to fill out the form. Once you receive the form, we send you an email with your expected shipping time. It's usually within a week, and we invoice you via PayPal. So, all right. So I just want to talk to you about upcoming events going on in the next 2 weeks. I have 2 more weeks of work, and then we get a weekend off.
Woo woo!
So exciting. This Friday, we're heading up to Grand Rapids, Michigan for a trunk show on Saturday, April 21st at Michigan Fiber Studio. They are having us back once again. And beautiful ladies up there, Beth and Michelle, I believe. No, Heather and Michelle. So many names in my head. Anyway, they have a wonderful shop in Grand Rapids, and we will be there all day on Saturday. So come by, shop, hang out with us. I sit and knit all day. Andy sits there and holds conversation, and we'll play on his phone and play Farm Hero Saga and read Reddit, and we'll probably go have lunch. And yeah, so.
It was so cute when Mandy and I first walked into YarnCon, because, literally, we didn't tell Andy or Steve, but Andy was so excited, and, it was so genuine, too. It wasn't, sassy pants by any means, and then that made me feel super loved.
True story.
It's true.
Then the next weekend, April 28th, we will be at the Minnesota Knitters Guild Yarn Over event, which is in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And that is on Saturday from, I think, 8 to 4, maybe. You can check it out. I'll have it linked in our show notes. Luckily, we get to set up Friday night a little bit, so it's not going to be such a mad dash of setting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. But it is only one day, so come check us out. There's a lot of wonderful vendors that are going to be there. I know our girls Black Cat will be there, so we're excited. And yeah, so that'll be a one day, and then we'll start heading home Saturday night and finish driving home on Sunday. Hence why we will not be recording on Sunday, but hopefully after work on Monday, Callie can come over and
What
we
day
can.
is that?
The 29th.
Of April?
Yeah. So. Well, we'll figure it out one way or another. So. That's it. So, yeah, we'll be in Michigan and then Minnesota and then a weekend off and then back in Minnesota for Shepherd's Harvest. We're going to be there for the first time, too.
I will be on vacation at the lake starting May 20th, and we'll be there throughout Memorial Day. So, if you feel inclined, you can message me.
But anyway, we're going to let you go, and hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We had lots of yarn and knitting to show you.
And enabling.
But we'll see you in about just over 2 weeks, and as always, you can find the shop at leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. You can find us on Instagram, Ravelry, and Facebook. And you can find the blog, you can find the show at dramaticknits.com, as well as our Ravelry group and Instagram, or YouTube and iTunes. So, until we see you again in about 2 weeks.
We hope you
Knit something dramatic.